Hello, and welcome to our June episode of Hingham Happenings. I'm your host, Katherine Collins. Let's see what we have coming up on this month's episode. The second annual Empty Bowls event was very successful this year. Hingham Community Center hosts their first craft beer night. Escula Language Academy held an exhibition of student projects. Barnes & Noble held a local authors panel. The South Shore Children's Museum invited the community to celebrate Earth Day. All this and more coming up on Hingham Happenings. The community was happy to come out for the second annual Empty Bowls event here at the Hingham Public Library. The event did a great job raising awareness for hunger. The art was just beautiful, and the reason for the event gave a whole new meaning to the phrase empty bowls.
Tonight we are at the Empty Bowls event, Empty Bowls South Shore 2016, and we are here to support arts education and raise awareness and funds for hunger. At this event, people come, they pay for admittance, and then they get to choose their own handmade bowl, and then they also get to have a simple meal of soup and bread, enjoy some music, and all just as a remembrance of all the other empty bowls in the world.
Last year, I went to the event in Cohasset, and I met with the art teachers. They're the heart and soul of this. They're the ones that get the kids to make the bowls. And we had a meeting, and we decided that we would host it here at the library, because the library is all about community, and this is such a community kind of event, and I'm just thrilled with the turnout. I see a lot of new faces, a lot of old faces, and we've had tremendous support from the Hingham community.
Well, last year we had a big event called Empty Bowls, and it's where a bunch of our teachers came together and made pottery with their students, and some professional potters joined us, and we invited the community in. They paid $20 for adults, $10 for students, and Whole Foods donated the soup, and everyone came together to raise money for hunger.
What does Empty Bowls mean to me? It's symbolic, I think, of just, raising awareness and using art to do that. So I teach art, I love art, and I love incorporating social aspects into it. So using art as a way for social change. How can we use our art to change our communities for the good? So it's a long process, the ceramic making process. It takes a while to actually craft the bowls, make them, let them dry, fire them in the kiln, and also just educating everyone on the importance of fighting hunger and what we can do to help and how our art can make an impact.
Well, I think that hunger in this community is maybe a little bit invisible. We are very fortunate here. A lot of us are very fortunate, and maybe it's not quite as visible as in some other communities, but really there is a need in Massachusetts, and there is a need on the South Shore. And so we partnered with the Hingham Food Pantry, the Hull Food Pantry, and the Braintree Food Pantry, and all of the money is going to go directly to them.
Most of the students I had this year were all beginners, so they hadn't really worked in clay before. So it was all, they actually were assigned several different bowls, and they could choose which one they wanted to donate. It's a way to raise money to help support these food pantries that are providing food to people who need it. I've known about this for a long time. I've heard of other schools doing this and other ceramic artists who've been involved, and once I started teaching, I wanted to do something like this. I thought it was a good way to involve art students in something outside of the classroom, and something that would give back to the community and use their art to help others.
After they're fired in the kiln, we glaze them, and then they're ready for the event, and just the research that goes into educating ourselves about why this is an important cause. I started this event because, to me, that's what art is all about, using art for change. How can we go beyond what we're doing within the school and bring that into the communities? And Empty Bowls is one way to do that. We started this event last year, and that was, again, through research, just trying to figure out how can we use art to have an impact, to make a change. And finding this event was an awesome way to do that.
It's heartwarming to see everybody here united for one thing. See, they get a little bowl of soup, they get a keepsake bowl, but the keepsake bowl really is just a reminder of why we're here.
A lot of us want to give back. I think that it's really in us. We're looking for ways to do it that make sense for us. And it's so much fun to make art for a great cause. It's just really nice to kind of get everyone behind this one thing. It's very special.
And it just, like I said, it brings people together, the students get involved, everyone's just working together for a common goal, which is awesome. And I feel like that's what art is supposed to be. It's supposed to unite people. People can find out about Empty Bowls online. You can research about the actual concept, which is Empty Bowls is a concept, and then anyone can have an event. Anytime people can come together to make a change or for a good cause is awesome.
The Hingham Community Center hosted its first ever beer tasting, Craft Beer Night. The event featured 6 local breweries in efforts to raise money to preserve this historic building.
Tonight we're hosting a beer tasting. It's a fundraiser for the community center, trying to raise funds to maintain the building and preserve the historic building. This is our first beer tasting at the community center. We're looking for different fundraising opportunities, and we're trying to think outside the box, something that hasn't been done frequently. We have a beautiful building here, and it's a great space to have a party, so we were trying to just come up with new ideas. Some of the ideas were wine tasting, beer tasting came up. We had a connection in town who was able to help us pull everything together, all the breweries. So it made a big difference in our deciding to do this event. We had assistance from Russ Heisner, who's one of the brewers here tonight. He coordinated getting the breweries on board, helped us select who would be here tonight. Scott Peterson, Katie Daly, Jim DiMaggio were also on our committee, and Jody Nash. They helped coordinate the food, the time, the date, everything.
Well, it's something that we found was very popular for other entities. It's something we had never done before, and we thought that there would be a pretty captive audience in Hingham, a lot of young people that would potentially like to come, and again, people that wouldn't necessarily come here for any other reason. And we thought it would be a good way to introduce them to the community center and what we have to offer.
We tried to select local brewers from the South Shore and give Hingham a taste of what's happening. 2 of the breweries are very new and on the South Shore, so we're hoping to have this tasting to invite people to try the beers, enjoy the beers, and hopefully purchase the beers from local vendors.
We have 6 craft beer folks here tonight, but there's a lot more. They seem to be cropping up every month as a new one, so if the event is successful, I think we'll probably look at having another event maybe 6 months down the road, and maybe invite some of the other craft beer entities that weren't here this time around.
I was here for years with my children. My children did dance here for years, and the community center has taken kind of a new path, and we were trying to do something a little bit different, so we thought a beer tasting would be a fun event. It's something that a lot of people are trying to do now, and it tends to draw a crowd, so we figured this would be just something to change of pace, change of scenery. We had a small group of us that got together and came up with the concept, and we had a local gentleman, Russ Heisner, who was formerly of Harpoon Ale, who is starting his own beer company, and as a result of that, we all got together, and he pulled in a couple guys, and here we are.
The community center is a wonderful asset for the town, and we really were very, very supportive. We're hoping for a very good night. I got involved with this because one of my neighbors is the head of the board here, very close friend of ours. The community center does a lot of wonderful things. They do fundraisers all the time, and they wanted to do a beer tasting, so they asked me to come in, help corral the rest of these brewers in the area, and help to get this set up. So everything we're doing is collaborative, small batch, and barrel aged. And so by collaborative means we work with other breweries to come up with a formulation. They do their take on it. We do our own. Our take is always going to be barrel aged. So we'll take the same recipe, we'll age it in rum barrels, whiskey barrels, tequila barrels, sherry barrels, etc. And Harpoon will, in this particular instance, is doing their own take on it. they did it in Bully Boy Run Barrels, and that's what we have here served tonight.
Experience is great. The reason why I want to come to the event is we're a Hingham-based company. This is Hingham. We always want to support local, and you know, our big thing with Entitled and all the brands that you see here, they're all local, and regardless of us being competitors, we all want to support each other, and supporting local is everything. So being in Hingham's backyard and being a Hingham beer company, it's just a natural fit for us to support them and thank them for allowing us to showcase our beers. Well, I'm what's called a contract brewer. So what that means is that we basically lease space every time we need to brew. My partner and myself were home brewers, and we had a couple of recipes that we really liked, and we would brew it in the neighborhood, and everyone would drink it and think like, you know, you guys got to do something with this. So in 2014, we officially launched the IPA. We do lots of tastings, but basically all the information that you need is on our website, and they can always call me.
Well, I'm hoping they enjoy the beer. I'm hoping our vendors are happy and they'll return, you know, in the fall.
The Junior K and Elementary School exhibition at the Sioux Escula Language Academy showcased their students' trilingual work throughout the school year. Escula is a language immersion school. It began in preschool and it became a kindergarten, and now we go through grade 4. Next year we'll be having grade 5. We're here for the exhibition, which is a culmination of student work throughout the year, focusing on all the different subjects. In preschool, it's a Spanish immersion school where their whole day is in Spanish. And then in kindergarten, they have their first exposure to English academically. And they also have Mandarin throughout the day too. I teach English and social studies, and I combine the two. Basically, any subject can be English and writing. For social studies, that's history, that's science. We do a bit of geology, all the different subjects, and there's a lot of writing, and all of my kindergarten's reading and writing, and we're very excited about their progress.
The people that work here are warm, friendly, and I'm trying my hand at learning Spanish myself, you know, but I just enjoy it. The classes are small. It's a teacher's dream, really. It's been incredible. It's just an amazing school. I haven't seen a school like this. They not only are fluent in Spanish, but they use core knowledge, and they have a really good base of English skills and history.
These are our second grade notebooks. There are other ones over there as well. These are our persuasive writing. We wrote a letter to each one, to a person that we knew. These are our War of 1812 portraits. Each one of us in second grade, we drew a picture of every character of our read alouds. Third, second, and fourth grade do current events. Current events is when you look something up online or in Scholastic News or a newspaper, and you pick that topic and you read all about it, and then you do a review and you write it in your own words. I wrote about Bye Bye Bananas and Tian Tian Snow Day. I learned that pandas love the snow and that bananas are going bad.
Here is a Chinese classroom for exhibition, and we have the arts on the wall, kindergarten, first, second, third, and fourth. And each grade, the students gonna be here, introduce their products to every parents. The students have Spanish from preschool until right now, and right now they are learning the Chinese language. Language is very hard to learn, but the younger kids, they can speak that very well right now. The kids, they're very interested about like different cultures. For example, they love panda so much. The panda is very famous in China, and Beijing Opera, and Olympics, Hua, and Chinese Kung Fu. They like that, and then they always ask me different questions about those, and I say, okay, we're gonna do the products about those.
I did this one. I did the Fuas, which are mascot. I did panda, Xiong Mao. I did Kung Fu, and I did China, 中国. And I also drew some pictures. I drew a picture of the Beijing Opera, and I drew a picture of the terracotta warriors, which are in China. We did mandalas, and then we did different designs with yarn, and then we made books for different shapes, up to 10 shapes, and then we did a geometry book where we did different things, and then we worked on mandalas on this app called Hebra.
These children are going to be leaders. They are going to be capable of doing pretty much anything that they want to in this world, speaking 3 languages with the organized brain and embracing culture and knowing all about the world. I love it. I love it. My daughter's a student here. She came in here speaking very little Spanish, and now she's fluent in Spanish, and she's singing in Mandarin, and she's able to use all of that knowledge into her English as well.
The Barnes & Noble here at Derby Street invited 10 local authors to share their experiences getting published. It was a great opportunity for the community to get involved and engage in Q&A.
Is we brought together 10 local authors to come and share their experiences with publishing and getting published with our community. So we thought that this would be a really good opportunity for people to ask some questions, meet with some authors that have done it, and get some answers that they hopefully can use to publish their own books.
It's great. Jonathan has a great idea of having a bunch of authors together of varying genres and publishing histories, and that way we can find out about individual publishing, mainstream publishing, self-publishing, and the subjects he's decided: nonfiction, juvenile, history. It's great. It's a good little wide range of topics.
Some of them came into me, talking to me. Others were authors that I was aware of kind of in the ether, ones that have done events at other stores, and my peers and I have talked about, you know, who did really well and who we would want to maybe bring in here. And some of them were people that I just ended up meeting at various functions. Many of the different functions that I attend in my regular position puts me in contact with a lot of different authors. So it's kind of a mix and match. This is the first time that we at this store have ever done any sort of local author expert panel. And so I thought, you know, I go to a lot of panels, I go to a lot of conventions that do this sort of format, and I think it garners a little bit more interactivity. I think it garners a little bit more engagement with the people who attend, rather than simply just walking up to an author and trying to find out who they are and what they're about, going in blind. Sitting down, hearing all the authors talk a little bit about themselves and kind of get an idea of what they're about, and then going up and asking maybe some personal questions.
All different kinds of authors, some self-published, some fiction, some non-fiction, some traditionally published, and we're all kind of talking about our books and our publishing journey and how we got here, and answering questions from people about how we got here. The path to publication was kind of a roller coaster. I spent about a year trying to get an agent. When I first tried to get an agent, I was told you couldn't write a young adult book set in the 60s, and I almost gave up, but I kept trying, and a year later when I got an agent, the 60s were popular, and so it was a really interesting journey.
The traditional publishing process is not easy to just jump right into without any sort of help. A lot of it depends on connections, who you know, where you live. It can be very tricky for a lot of authors who have otherwise great product, great creativity to get in that front door. And it's really great to see authors who otherwise might not ever make it through that past that threshold get published and get here and have the opportunity to sell their books.
I was in a writing group for a number of years, about 5 or 6 years, and we actually went over this book and my second book right here where the audience was sitting tonight. So it was kind of funny to be looking at the place where I actually worked a lot on this book and the one following.
The one thing I've learned is that there's a lot you can learn about writing a novel. It's a craft, it's an art, but it's also a craft, and there's a lot you can learn about the craft. And the more polished and the more good your novel is, the easier it is going to be to get it published.
Just write. Right, I know some people force themselves like 2 hours of writing a day. If that's too structured, I know some people, everyone has stories, or everyone has something they maybe want to research, just to do it. Like running a race, you know, the parallel of that, just get out and run a mile.
I think writers and readers and the kind of discussion that evolves between writers and readers is really important. So doing something like this makes me feel like I'm connecting with people on the South Shore in a way that, you know, sometimes you don't when you're just a writer and you're off and all alone. So I think these kind of events are really important.
So many of us struggle. There's so many good writers out there. We're trying to break through. Some of us have, you know, gotten published traditionally, like I was lucky enough to do. Others are self-publishing. Either way, we struggle. We work very hard. And this is a great way to introduce the community to struggling writers.
What we want to try to do is let everybody know that Barnes & Noble is a community center for those authors so that they can come here. Not only can they get their books, but they can also meet those authors. We want our community to have opportunities to talk with authors, talk with people that they otherwise would never really get a chance to meet, ask some questions. A large population of the Hingham is very creative, whether it be art, music, writing, and so it's a perfect opportunity for us to kind of meld those two things together.
The South Shore Children's Museum hosted their 6th annual Earth Day event. It was truly a wonderful celebration of the earth and this great environment that we all live in.
Today we are hosting our 6th annual Earth Day event, which we host annually, and we've actually been doing it before the museum opened. So we started this in 2010. We're very proud of this event, and it's a lot of fun. Earth Day is really about a celebration of the earth, and one of the main focuses is to think about the environment, and of course animals are a big part of the environment. So just an appreciation for animals. We always have animal shows. We're having a shark exhibit today. That's a staple of our event. But we also have like some fun crafty things. What we're creating today, for example, is the birdhouse craft. So every time you come to an Earth Day, always expect a fun craft that you can replicate at home. We're always saying that we're a place for communities to come together, and I think we've proven that. This is one of those events that shows that we are connecting communities. We are in such a great location. We connect so many towns in the South Shore. That's one way we can show that we are definitely a resource, and clearly there's a need because these events are very well attended.
We're working on educating the next generation of ocean stewards, and for them to have a hands-on experience with an animal that we don't typically think of one as being local here to New England, though there are lots of shark species that are local to us in New England. I have brought from the aquarium our sharks class, and it includes a variety of activity boxes that talk about features and senses and all sorts of fun things about sharks for children to explore. It gives them the chance to have some ownership and then eventually build a love and an interest and then a stewardship and protection of these animals. I love working with small children and educating small children. The enthusiasm that they have and the excitement that they have is just wonderful to see, and probably my favorite part is when they have that aha moment and they make a connection between something that you've taught them and something they already know. That's the best part of teaching them. Right behind us we have our shark vision boxes. The one over here compares human view to shark view and how sharks see in low light and how humans see in low light. This one talks about how sharks can discern shape using an eye chart that most of us are pretty familiar with, but has some shapes in there that a shark might see, and talks about how sharks can perceive or not perceive things under the water. We have size reels that compares the length of sharks as well as the length and width of stingrays, one of their sort of animal cousins. And as well we have some shark anatomy exploration so that children can touch shark skin, they can see shark vertebra, as well as learn about sharks' jaws and their diets that they have. I hope that they get out of it that animals like sharks are not as scary as they might perceive them to be, and maybe find out that they can be shark scientists perhaps in the future. From a personal standpoint, I'm a science teacher, so I love anything to do with science, so it gives us an opportunity to bring that in. And of course the museum is focused on the science, technology, engineering, and math aspect of the initiative that's going around now for all of our families, so we want to be a part of that. We have a lot of support from local businesses. Kohl's Cares Associates, they come every single year. Right now they're helping, a couple hundred kids put these birdhouses together on their own time. So we thank them. They've been wonderful.
Well, for one, it keeps our associates motivated and active within the community, and it shows that we're putting our best foot forward to help them have a great community program with the children. Today we actually came to our specific station was to put together birdhouses for the kids. So we're out there helping them with arts and crafts, putting the birdhouses together. I think the kids are learning about the environment. They're out there with their parents and with the other children and working together to put these birdhouses together. I have children myself, so with the experience that I have is just being involved within the community.
Hosting this kind of event is relevant because, we do have a lot of environmental issues that are social issues that people need to know about. So having this platform allows for conversation. And we just like to thank our volunteers, obviously, because we just couldn't do this without them.
That's all for this month. Tune in next time for another exciting episode of Hingham Happenings. In the meantime, if you have any ideas for future episodes, please email us at hinghamhappenings@hinghammedia.org. Thanks so much for watching.